Welcome back to Ravenclaw Reads. This is Courtney, and today you're joining me for a weekly wrap-up. I have to do a weekly wrap-up this week instead of a weekly vlog because I was really focused on reading Onyx Storm, which I'm still reading. I have not finished Onyx Storm yet. And so I knew I wasn't going to read that much this week, but I read a few things, so we'll go over that. I got a Book of the Month Club book, had a couple of books on Kindle that came out, and then kind of talk about what I'm currently reading. So last week, like I said, I was focused on reading Onyx Storm. This is book 3 in the Empyrean series. This is the Fourth Wing series. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with this book. I really do like it. I do like the series. I'm 52% in, but it's just literally dragging so much. The fact that I made it to the 52% mark was miraculous this week. 52% means I'm on page 395 of 758 pages. And it's just a long book no matter what. So I'm just trying to take my time and get out of my head that it has to be done in a certain time span. I'm trying to do 3 to 5% increase maybe per day, per week, some type of movement on it each week, but it's just taking a little bit longer. And we are to the part in the book where we kind of have more drama and more activity going on. Obviously I don't want to spoil it because it's a whole series, but you know, Violet has a squad with her and they're getting ready to fight. So we've been building up this whole time to get to that point. One thing I'll have to say already is that the Xaden Violet sort of love affair romance is really starting to wear on my nerves. I feel like first book it was cute, second book it was all right, and this book is just too much. Like real dangerous things are happening and they are staring into each other's eyes and unable to focus and like doing the talk to each other through thoughts. It's just a little bit too much for what's happening in the book, and so it has not been my favorite. But I do say all that to say I do like the book. And then this week I also read a Babysitters Club book because I hadn't read one in a while and I feel like I needed to read a little bit more. And so I just finished today Claudia and the Perfect Boy. I started it yesterday. I love this book. So if you're new here, welcome. Thanks so much for joining in. I just hopped right on into the video here. But check out my content on my channel. If you like it, please subscribe. I'm gonna shout out my very first member today. So excited. I'll have the name down here. And so check out my memberships too if you would like to become a member on my channel. And if you are returning, thanks so much for returning. But if you are returning, you know that I am rereading The Babysitters Club from the beginning. I'm on book 71. I started probably, was it the summer before last? I can't remember. I've started a while ago. And I really enjoyed the reread. I've gotten a chance to better understand some characters. I've still am not a fan of Dawn. Jessie just had one of her best books that I've read, and so just going through it. But before I was rereading in order, I always loved them as a kid, but then also was just kind of cherry picking the ones I liked, and I really went through all of the Claudia and Stacey books because as an adult I really loved that plot line and all of their plot lines. As a kid I didn't so much, I didn't relate to either one, but as an adult they're the grimiest ones and they're just, I love them. So Claudia and the Perfect Boy follows Claudia, who is on the search for a perfect boyfriend. She's hanging around Marianne and Logan a lot. Stacey's dating somebody. Even Christy's got Bart a little bit. And she's feeling like it's her time. She's ready to have somebody special in her life. And so she comes up with the idea with Stacey to start like a personal ads column in her school newspaper, and she'll help match people, but also maybe she could find somebody too. This is very interesting. As we know, Claudia cannot spell, so for her to be working as an editor on a newspaper is ridiculous. But she kind of roped Stacey in the whole way of like, you gotta help me, like you're gonna help me do all of this stuff, and Stacey does. It's a good friend would. But the ending is kind of grimy. Claudia kind of goes on these dates. They don't work out. One is horribly offensive, in which the boy is like incredibly infatuated with just Japanese culture in general and is asking her horrifically racist questions. And then finally, she finds a perfect boy through her ad. Come to find out, it's Stacy, who was just trying to be helpful as a friend, to say like, hey, there is somebody out there for you, but just not this one. So I don't know how that was helpful, but it was cute and I liked it. Flew through that one. And then the book that I read that took up most of the week was Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I picked this book up last week, and this was the book that I said I was not going to read. And then I proceeded to read it. It actually ended up being quite good. So, well, let me take that back. It ended up being decent. I ended up giving it 3 stars. This book follows Scarlett and what's the guy's name? Lucas. And Scarlett and Lucas are both in the swim world. Scarlett was a competitive Olympic style diver, and maybe a year ago she had some bad news before her last dive, like to make the Olympic trials, and she got injured when she hit the water, and she has had a hard time since then getting back in the water. And then Lucas is on the swim team, and he's just been a swimmer this whole time. They end up meeting up randomly as they both get an internship at a science lab because they're both pre-med. And Lucas is actually Scarlett's roommate's Penn, P-E-N, her ex-boyfriend. And Penn and Luke have known each other forever, since they've been kids. But Penn wants to be free, and she just feels like, you know, she wants to explore things. She knows that if it's meant to be, her and Lucas will come back together. But oddly, she suggests that Scarlett and Lucas date. I'm going to put that loosely. They loosely date. And at first, everybody's kind of like, that's really strange. And, you know, they were at a party, so like maybe she was just drinking. They didn't know what she was talking about. And then they kind of start liking each other, and it does become a thing. This book is incredibly spicy. It's one of those books where the plot is really loose because it's so focused on the spice. I think once the spice started, that's just all that was kind of going on. So I kind of flew through some parts because I was just kind of skipping that. Not that I don't. I can read all kinds of books. It doesn't matter to me, but it was just like obligatory at some point. It wasn't necessary. But here's my issue with this book. Along with that, Ali Hazelwood seemed to throw every single thing in this book. And by every single thing, I mean plots. We have the plot around Scarlett and her injury, and she's going through therapy, trying to like get her mind around it, and she's having such a hard mental block. We've got the plot with Lucas and his brother. We have a plot with the team. We have a plot with Penn. It's just like so many things going on in this book that didn't need to happen. This book is 400 plus pages. It did not need to be this long, and it should have just been what it was. It's just a quick romance, really spicy book focused on that, and that's what it should have been. Nothing more. It tried really hard to be something else, and it didn't need to be. So I think if you are a fan of Ali Hazelwood, you know what to expect. And so you can decide for yourself if you want to read it. Like I said, 3 stars for me. Okay, so those are the books that I finished. Well, Onyx Storm, obviously I'm still reading, but that's what I finished. And I really was reading literally every day. It just was that kind of week where I had multiple books going and none of them really got finished. So that's what we got. Okay, so let me tell you what I got on Book of the Month, my Book of the Month Club book. And then I'll show you and tell you about some of the books that I picked up on Kindle. Okay, so the Book of the Month Club book just came, I think, yesterday, and I got First Time Caller. This is by B.K. Borison. I had kind of stepped away from Book of the Month Club, but I had 1 credit left, and so they're like, it's gonna expire, take your book. So I was like, okay, I'll just take my book. And I have not read a B.K. Borison book. However, I have a couple in my Kindle library because they seem interesting. So I decided to pick this one up, and I'm kind of bummed because I've seen other people do reviews on this book, and they've been huge B.K. Borison fans, and they said they didn't like it too much. So we'll see. Like this is my first one that I'll end up reading. I'm not in a rush to read it. Again, it's a 400 plus page romance. It's 420 pages. I don't think it needs to be that much. But this one says, a hopeless romantic meets a demoralized radio host in this cozy, Sleepless in Seattle-inspired love story. Aiden Valentine has a secret. He's fallen out of love with love, and as the host of Baltimore's romance hotline, that's a bit of a problem. But when a young girl calls into the station asking for dating advice for her mom, the interview goes viral, thrusting Aiden and Heartstrings into the limelight. Lucy Stone thought she was adjusting just fine. She has a good job, an incredible family, and a smart, slightly devious kid. But when all of Baltimore is suddenly scrutinizing her love life, or lack thereof, she begins to question if she's as happy as she believed. Maybe a little more romance wouldn't be such a bad thing. Everyone wants Lucy to find her happy ending, even the handsome, temperamental man calling the shots. But when sparks start to fly behind the scenes, Lucy must make the final decision between the radio-sponsored Happily Ever After or the man in the headphones next to her. Okay, so yeah, that sounds mid. I don't know, we'll see. But that came in the mail. And then I picked up, this one's kind of funny. So I went to Barnes a few weeks ago, and me and my kids were in the romance section. And I was looking at the Harley Quinn books, and one was called After Party Consequences. I'm going to put the cover here. The cover is hilarious, and we were kind of joking about it. And then I started feeling like I kind of want to read this book. And so it's on Kindle, and this one says, if a billionaire bachelor, Cade Landry, remains a one-woman man all summer, he'll win the rights to the property that holds its only memories of his mother. When his scorching one-night stand with socialite Charlie is exposed online, he must handle the fallout by demanding they fake a relationship. Charlie's party girl persona masked her childhood pain. Desperate to prove she's more than a headline, Cade's fake dating deal is dangerously tempting, and their sizzling attraction makes things almost too easy, until the first explosive encounter has a very real consequence. Charlie's pregnant. So I'm like, it's one of those like trashy books. I don't think Harley Quinn books are trashy in general, but this one is just one of those. The cover is wild, as I said, and I'm excited to read it. So this is book 3 in the $1 Billion Bet book series. So excited to read that. I also was able to pick up the book, The Love Lyric by Christina Forrest. I'm actually reading that this week, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But this book is the 3rd book in the same as The Partner Plot and Neighbor Favor. This is another sister. I just started, I'm 11% in. This book follows Iris, and she right now is helping her sister at her wedding. This is the one from The Partner Plot that's getting married, I believe. And Iris was married, but her husband passed away, and so she just met an R&B singer that was at the party, and they're kind of hitting it off. So that's where I am with that. But I was able to download that. And then if you don't follow daily ebook deals, I highly suggest you do. She's on Instagram. Every day she goes through the deals on Amazon to find Kindle books that are marked down significantly, like to $1 or $2. And one book that I had been looking for that was on the Kobo that I just couldn't like get going, but it was good on the Kobo, was called The Perfect Fit by Claire Gilmore. So excited to read that. And then Jodi Picoult had another book out. This is Small Great Things. And that book follows, I believe that one's a Black labor delivery nurse who needs to help a family, but the family doesn't want her to help because they're white and she's Black. So that's going to be interesting. And then I was able to get a couple of literary fiction books that were out as the first read books. One was Happiness Falls by Angie Kim, and the other was The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. The Sally Hepworth book is actually on Kindle Unlimited, and I started that a little bit, and this book follows 2 sisters, and it starts off with one of the sisters looking like she committed murder, and now we're trying to figure out like the backstory of who they are and how. So that one definitely sounded good. I wanted to read that, but I have been trying to get focused on a lot of different books, but I really was kind of in a book hangover after Blue Sisters, because as you guys know, I'm on my literary fiction grind, and I really enjoyed that. And I've read some great literary fictions recently, and so I'm trying to find the next good one. But I did pick up today, which I'm zooming through already. I had this from Book of the Month Club a while ago. This is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I have the cover off already. But I don't remember what this was about too much, and I didn't even read the back cover. I just started. I'm 48 pages in. Started it this afternoon, and basically we are following a family in the 70s right now, and they are kind of wanderers. The dad was in Vietnam and is having some PTSD before we knew what PTSD was, and the mom is kind of a drifter as well. They're not doing amazingly well where they're at, but they get a call or a letter from one of the dad's Vietnam buddies who passed away. His father writes him to say that his friend had some land in Alaska and has passed it on to him. So without, I mean, it's 1974, there's no internet, stuff like that. They just pack up and go to Alaska, and they get there, and it is the most ruralist part of Alaska. You have to take a ferry to get to the home. Everything's very isolated, and everybody keeps saying how dangerous it is, bears and weather, and making sure you have supplies. And they aren't prepared at all. I mean, they've never been in this type of situation. The father has had huge issues with alcohol abuse, and now they're supposed to be, you know, figuring out the land. Anyway, I'm, like I said, only on page 48. Her books are usually about 400 pages or so, so about 10% in. And the daughter just started going to school, Lenny. L-E-N-I, Lenny. She just went to school for the first time. So I'm blowing through this already because I love a good Kristen Hanna book, and I'm just trying to work through her backlog and get all of them because they're so good. So right now I'm just reading The Great Alone, and I'm reading Love Lyric on the Kindle, and then I will still be putting in Onyx Storm throughout the week. I need to really set myself a goal, like by the end of the week, how much percent will I have done? 15%, 20%? Like how much do I think I could read per day? And again, it's not because the story's bad, it's because it's so long. Like literally as you're reading the book on Kindle, it's like you're not even moving the needle on the percentage. And for me, that takes a toll on my enthusiasm for wanting to continue to read it. But the story itself is good. So that is my weekly wrap up. Like I said, I didn't read too much this week, but I read enjoyable things. Looking forward to another great week of reading. I have tomorrow off, or today, Monday, I'm posting this on Monday, off for President's Day, so hoping to read more then. And I'm also taking off on Friday, the 21st. I'm so excited, so I can read some more then, and just continue to reach toward my goal. So far I have 8 books read this month. My goal is 15 to 20. So I think I can definitely reach that and maybe surpass 15, maybe like 16 I could do. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But that's everything for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.